you doing? I'm really liking the way gold looks this morning, so I don't know, though it is iffy. We've got kind of like a triple bottom right here. Oh, can you wait until I get the block out of the way? Jesus. Turkeys are actually surprisingly friendly. So other than doing farm chores in the morning, I usually do check the charts just to see what's happened over the weekend or overnight, because today is Monday. One thing I will say, if you are trading futures and you're looking to trade maybe before work earlier in the morning, you can definitely get some good trades in between 6 a.m. to, let's say, 9 a.m. So you have some flexibility there. I, however, have not made it up before 6 a.m. in a little while. We're just being honest there. Morning time, though, is a lot slower, just like nighttime. If I'm saying times, I'm referring to Eastern time, FYI. Oh, and futures are closed for 1 hour, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. So, yeah, just remember that. Come here. That sun's bright. You're so sweaty. All right, come on. Go on. Go. Good morning. Okay. Fast forward to me shoveling a bunch of shit. When I worked my 9 to 5 and I was trying to trade on the side, back then, I mean, it's been 9 years ago, I was trading mainly cheaper stocks or penny stocks, and then I started to dabble with options. But I will say the one thing that I really like about futures is having the ability to trade pre-market if you want to, or earlier in the morning. And back then I didn't know about futures. You know, with options, unless you're swing trading, that's really hard to do if you're working. I think it's really important to find something to trade that allows you the flexibility for you to trade it around your schedule, because that's really, really important. Trying to force a trade when your boss is breathing over your shoulder or you've got a lot of chaos going on at work, that's going to make it 10 times more hard for you to focus and for you to follow your rules, all of that stuff. So find a routine that's going to fit around your work schedule. That's really, really important. Or your life schedule. But right now, the most common times that I personally trade around 10 a.m. Eastern to lunchtime. I really, really like that 2-hour window. But if I'm up and I see a trade, you know, let's say at 8 o'clock in the morning or 8:30 if there's no news, I'll definitely take it. So before I take any trades, one of the most important things that I do is make sure that I am checking for major news, and then if we've got any economic data due that day. So major news, I used to be one that did not like to look at news. I really think it can give you a bias that's just not good for being a trader, but we are in different times, because one news article, one change in tariffs, for example, can really throw the market into a frenzy. So that is one of the first things I check every morning. Is our Peachy analyst Carrie puts out all the major news to pay attention to, and then I would much rather do this than watch something like Bloomberg or anything like that, because that's just going to be a lot of fluff and fear mongering. I want to know the important stuff. And then also we're in earnings season, so making sure I'm keeping up to date with big earnings that are reporting. So if we've got a huge name reporting later that day, that's something I really need to pay attention to. Other than that, economic data is also really important. So we make sure to have the weekly calendar out every Sunday. If we have big news due that day, that's something you absolutely want to avoid or give some time to settle. Or if we have really big news up and coming in the next few days, markets are going to be anticipating that, and you can see a lot more chop. So for example, Wednesday, we have a really big, heavy day. And so that's something to pay attention to. We also have job openings tomorrow. So it's a heavier news week, which is something that can make price action more challenging. So you absolutely need to be prepared for that ahead of time. Right now, what I want to see is I'm watching gold near that 33.10 area. And so I'm looking to see if we get some sellers stepping in. Prefer we're underneath 33.0380 for true weakness, but right now I just want to see how we're reacting near 33.10. I'm going to take an early entry.
Order filled.
It's really low risk considering we're near recent highs. So I really like doing that. That's something that I do. And so if you have a tendency of entering too soon, take one starter that wouldn't hurt you if you were wrong. right? Now, obviously, you want to see some confirmation. You need to be near a key pivot level. You need to be near, an area of interest. But I'll just enter a starter. And if I'm wrong, it's a paper cut. But if I'm right, it allows me to have that feeling of like, okay, I'm in the trade at least some. So I don't get that, FOMO feeling. It doesn't matter how long you've been trading. You're going to get FOMO. It doesn't go away. It's just figuring out how to manage it. If you're ever taking early entries, it has to make sense from a risk versus reward point of view. There has to be a key area that you're watching that we're very near, at least for me. I'm not going to take early entries if I'm not seeing a low risk reason to enter, if that makes sense. I mean, we're just so close to this recent sell-off point here, and you're like 33.14. I mean, it's just, I'm risking a couple $100 if I'm wrong.
Order filled.
All right, I'm going to take another contract. I want to really, really emphasize the fact that this right here is my tiny little risk. So my average is 33.0990. And if you haven't picked up on it, I chart on Thinkorswim, but I don't trade futures on Thinkorswim. So it's just what I just don't. One, Thinkorswim just has high margin requirements. It's not very small account friendly. I mean, I don't have a small account, but I just like the leverage that you can get with Ninja. But this is my small risk versus, or technically, hold on, let me do this accurately. Right here is my average, okay? This, if I'm risking highs, I'm just a very visual person, and I feel like this helps new people. This is my risk right there, okay? Because if my average is 33.0990 and my stop loss is like right above recent highs, this is my risk versus my larger target is near like 32.85, and I actually might keep holding past that, but this is my potential reward, okay? We're gonna make this super kindergarten, okay? Risk in red, reward in green, and I know the box isn't perfect, but that's what you want. That's what you want. You want a big green box and a little red box. Those are the good trades. I really am considering moving my risk down, but I'm gonna scale in one more. I actually might not.
Filled.
I might not scale in too heavy. I just am really liking my average. So now my average is 33.0830. Okay, so let's adjust that. I actually don't think I'm gonna scale in more. I'm just gonna leave it as is. You do not need a ton of contracts on gold. So, however, since I did scale in, I'm going to go ahead and move my stop down to that recent last push up here, that lower high. I'm going to move my stop there. The only thing I don't like is you see how we keep getting this bullish reaction off of that level? I don't like that. Long wicks equal bullish reaction, and I don't want to see that. I want to see it fail through and then form resistance under. So I'm still in, and that larger point of view is iffy. So I'm in early, technically, because we're still over that KPL of 33.0380. So not set in stone yet. This could definitely go against me, especially with reactions like that. So let's just see what the next 20 minutes shows us, and then we should get some more clarity for a larger point of view. Yeah, that was a really bullish reaction candle. So I'm back near break even. I'm gonna go in ahead and I'm up like $2,600. If we move back over 3,300, I'm out. So I'm gonna go ahead and adjust. That'll be like a solid 2,500.
Stop filled.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm just gonna close this out.
Order filled.
I was like $2,500 and it's not even 10 o'clock yet. I couldn't resist that. So I might look for a re-entry a little bit later. And I say quick, but some days it's way longer than that. Some days I could sit here in front of the screen for 2 hours. I don't do more than 2 hours, but I could sit here for 2 hours and not take a trade. I could take a trade tomorrow and lose money, right? So you're not gonna win every day. That, okay, I made $2,500 today, so I'm gonna make $2,500 every day. No, one little trick you can do is $2,500 divided by 5 equals I'll consider that a $500 day, because you never know, right? You cannot get fixated on profits. You cannot get fixated on a number. The actual number that you made that day is irrelevant. I would instead focus on the actual number you made that week, because that's going to give you much better data and much more realistic data. You're not going to make the same amount of money every day. You're not going to make money every day. Shouldn't really trade every day. One really bad habit is getting fixated on a number, is getting fixated on expecting the same number. So anyways, I don't think I'm going to title this video $2,500 because that's not realistic. Instead, I might title it $500 because I feel like that's more realistic. But really solid trade before 10 a.m. Eastern. And yeah, we'll just see what the rest of the day holds. Happy with that start to the week, so I might just settle for that. And if I do take a re-entry, it might just be way smaller. Okay, to wrap up this video, because I just saw gold take off, so that trade's no longer valid. That short is out of the picture now, which happens. I think I just wanted to wrap this up by saying that is, don't get too fixated on a larger point of view. Constantly assess price action to let it tell you what it wants to do. You can't have a story and then commit to that story the entire day. So yeah, I made money this morning off of that gold short, but in reality, once that 10 a.m. candle hit, my thesis was no longer valid for the rest of the day. So I'm not going to continuously chase that short and get back all of my profits when it's just not working anymore. So you can see right here, when this candle opened and this candle closed, that started to tell me a different story. What I was wanting to see happen was resistance hold under 3303.80, that KPL, right? So I wanted to see something like this. We come up, form resistance, and then move down for a continued short. We did not do that. You see how that candle right there held over that level? That was telling me that maybe bears aren't in control. Maybe they're not as strong as I thought. Maybe bulls do have a chance. And so I'm going to back off my shorts until I start to see continued weakness underneath that level. And so based on that analysis from the larger point of view, I backed off my shorts and didn't give back my profits. So that's really important that I wanted to end on. Do not overcommit to a direction. If price is going to tell you what it wants to do, you have to listen, right? So every time a candle prints, that's price telling you what it wants to do. And so you can't commit to one thing, because if it starts to show you something different, then you need to adapt to that. That doesn't mean that I'm going to flip and go long. I mean, you could have done that. That just means I'm no longer going to look short and I'm going to look elsewhere for another trade. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to see if there's anything else that I want to trade today, but I'm perfectly happy with this morning. But yeah, I just wanted to cover that because I feel like it's not covered enough. You really, really have to understand the larger point of view, but you don't have to marry it. You know, you can change your mind. That's okay. Like, I could have a good short on gold and then all of a sudden it rips in the opposite way and I missed a much larger move. But you don't need to catch every move to be successful as a trader. You just have to have a plan, follow your plan, don't change your mind mid-plan, and then also don't try to force it if it's going against you. So just a couple things to end this trading vlog, morning routine. I don't know what I'm going to call it, but yeah. Thanks for tuning in. And then if you guys are interested, I do have some free workshops. So I try to put out a free workshop at least once a month, and you can check the description box down below to find that link. If you're interested in joining the community, that info is down there below as well. And yeah, I'm making an effort to make more YouTube videos, but I am more active on Instagram. So make sure to give me a follow there as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.